Hello beautiful people, this is Brian again. Wanted to do a video this time on how to prepare for that high-paying job, and this is as a result of some of the questions that you sent me on, hey Brian, how did you prepare for that good paying career in law enforcement? And so I'm going to spend a few minutes talking to you about that. First off, everything is about image and drive and determination, right? Perseverance is key if you're going to get that high-paying job. So stop watching the crappy news. Stop, getting scared by a certain news event that shook you up or whatever, and instead decide what you want your future to look like. What kind of job do you want to have? What kind of benefits do you want to have? And when you get retired, how much do you want to get paid? Type of thing. Start thinking ahead, right? So first off, some of you are working in your college degree. Others that follow my channel, you're not taking any college courses because some of the departments that you apply don't even require you to have a college degree, and that's totally fine. In some states in the US, there's still departments that only require you to have a high school diploma, be age 21 at time of appointment, and get started. So before I get going, I want to remind you that in California there's 300 law enforcement agencies. Yes, I repeated it on purpose. And yet I have students or followers of mine that basically apply to one agency or two agencies because they want to remain where they grew up and yada yada yada. And my statement to that is, if you were a farmer and you had 10,000 acres to plant, and yet you only planted your crop in one of those 10,000 acres, you wouldn't get a very big crop, a very large crop. You would get 1 acre worth of your efforts. And so I'm telling you that as an individual here in America, you have 10,000 acres that you can go out and explore. And so if you're only exploring 1 acre, then you're missing out, truly missing out on opportunity. So first step on that high-paying career, once you decide what job you want to get, you need to go find a booklet, a study guide. And where do you find those? At Barnes & Noble bookstore, right? That's number one. You go and get a booklet and you learn about what are going to be the questions on the entry-level exam, right? Because you're going to take an entry written exam to find out if you're a good fit for that job, right? And you may learn a lot when you study these booklets. You divide them into sections and you put these little tabs on them using those yellow sticky notes, and then you put a date on it by when you're going to read this chapter by this date, next chapter by this date, and so forth. And as you're reading the booklets, you actually learn things about the job, like what's expected of that job, right? The next step is physical, right? A lot of these jobs require you to have a physical agility test. So if you're overweight or you're not eating healthy, right? Or you're hanging around some bad crowds or those kind of things, you need to adjust your life, right? To make sure that those are removed or adjusted, because they're going to check into your background. They're going to make sure that you're fit. And so if your job involves a physical agility test, you need to start practicing for those, right? Some of them in law enforcement, you have the dummy drag, you have the 500-yard dash, you have to get over the 6-foot wall, and then the chain link fence, 6-foot chain link fence, and then run, I believe it's 1.5 miles and under 12 minutes. So these are things that you need to start shooting for, depending on what the agency aspires you to do. Now, once you decide, hey, this is the job I'm going to do in law enforcement, I urge you to select like 10 departments that are hiring. Right now, there's a gazillion jobs out there, open jobs, looking for people just like you to go out there and become a public servant. Now, this video applies to a bunch of jobs, not just law enforcement jobs. I'm saying that if you want to work for the state or government, you can also check into taking the civil service test. You can do those online so that you can get into that list for state jobs, and then when the state job comes open, you're already on the list, and then boom, you can apply. Anyway, back to my original point. So I talked to you about the written exam, I talked to you about the physical agility, and I'm going fast because I don't want to put you to sleep. Then the next thing is picking the 10 departments that I mentioned, right? The 10 agencies, the 10,000 acre rule, right? And you need to apply all at once. And if you ever get asked by a background investigator, well, you applied at these 10 agencies, which agency you're going to go with? And the answer is the first agency that offers me a job, I'm going to go with that agency, and I'm going to try to be there as long as I can and do the best job I can. That's your answer, by the way, right? So don't waste your lifetime, valuable lifetime, applying to one agency and then waiting 8 months, a year, getting passed over, and then applying to another agency. That's just a dumb move on your part, and I don't want to put you down. I know some of you are doing that right now, but it is best to just cast your net wider and then do it. The other part about this, say you pass the written exam, you pass the physical exam, and the next thing that's coming up is the job interview. They're going to be asking you situational questions. The big one, obviously, is tell us about your strengths and weaknesses. Tell us a little bit about yourself. A lot of you were raised on text messaging. It's time for you to start actually reading. It's time for you to start reading the Wall Street Journal, and I'm not encouraging you to read the news, but I've said it on some videos before. It was recommended by a professor of mine years ago when I did my business degree that if you read the Wall Street Journal, they have so many well-qualified editors that review every single story, and by the time they publish the story, it's like really well written. So only in the front page. Don't waste your time with the advertisements towards the back. But anyway, I'm telling you that to prepare for those interviews, you have to learn how to tell a story. So they're going to give you situational, type questions. They're going to put you in a situation to see how you would respond. It's definitely going to include ethical situations. It's definitely going to include racial, so that you're not racially discriminating against the various races. It's going to be about, working with your community, and et cetera, et cetera. So you need to start talking to people who are maybe in law enforcement, or like somebody like me who's worked in law enforcement, and run these scenarios by us and say, hey, one of the questions that was asked was this, how would you answer that question, and so forth, right? Expect to fail. That's the other part of this video, right? I applied to a number of agencies, over 30, and then I finally got hired. So I basically got used to getting rejection letters. Some of you apply to one agency, you get rejected. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. And guess what? It's not the end of the world. You're just planting that 1 acre that I mentioned earlier, instead of focusing on the 10,000 acres that are readily available to you if you take this advice that I'm giving in the video. I apologize for the sun. I always get up early and the sunrise always blinds you guys from the back. But anyway, so job interviews are very important. Every time you finish a job interview, you should get on your computer or your smartphone and record the questions that they asked you, right? And as well as how you answered the question. And then pick somebody's brain like myself or other people on these different types of scenario questions, right? They just want to see if you're going to be a good fit for that agency. They're going to give you these scenarios to see if you can process information. And so a lot of you are used to texting. A lot of you are used to dodging or evading social communication. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you. You'd rather text than a phone call. You'd rather text than leave a voicemail. And again, you're avoiding social interaction. And for you to pass the interview, you have to just show them that you're not afraid to engage in social communication. You're not afraid to kind of ask someone, like if they asking you for a situation, to give them a decision based on a situation, you're not afraid to, come back and ask them for clarification. Hey, you mentioned that I was in this scenario, but can I ask a clarification question? Yes, what's your clarification question? In this case, when I'm responding to the bank, do I have a backup or I'm by myself? Again, that's social interaction, right? Social engagement. Sometimes you cannot just answer the question without giving clarification. I had to move my camera so that you guys don't get blinded by the light. It used to be an old song. Anyway, so that's my point. So conversation is important. You need to definitely focus on conversation. You need to focus on your doing your homework, preparing for that. And so I'm going to cut this video short. I'm going to continue asking you to send me questions. The most recent one, and I'll cover right now in this video, is I had one of my subscribers reach out to me on the question. It's a psychological test question, and on the psychological exam, it was asked like true or false. I get angry often, so I'll leave that one up to you. You know, officers are not supposed to get angry. You're supposed to be in control. So if I was going to answer that question, if it was posed to me, it's like, no, I don't get angry often. But the other question was kind of a leading question, like, when I get angry, true or false, right? When I get angry, I usually calm down pretty fast, right? And so, you know, how do you answer that? You can't say no, because if you say no, like if I said no, then I'm assuming that I don't calm down very quickly. But if I say yes, then I'm assuming that I do get angry, and then I relax. And so I want you not to overthink the second question. I want you to be thinking about, like, when you do get angry, like the times that you've gotten angry, maybe as a child or something, then you do calm down very fast, I hope, right? So the answer for that one would be that, you know, for me, I would answer that yes, that when I do get angry, I calm down very fast. So on these psychological exams, I hope you're taking them. It's part of your job. Those of you who are going to become peace officers, keep in mind that you're not supposed to read too much into it. It's basically, you know, how you would act, you know, if you got into that position. And so I hope that you consider this bit of advice when you do take that exam, because you'll be doing it. Continue to send me questions on any topic, and I'll try to do a video if I can, if I get enough interest. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and do like the video so that we can keep this thing going. I want to help you guys as much as I can, pass as much information as I can, support you as much as I can, but I need you to abandon your old self and start working on your new self by taking this advice. I'm going to be doing other videos really soon on more career advice. I urge you to subscribe so that you're notified, hit the bell thing, you're notified when these videos come out, so that you're prepared as well as you could be. Again, abandon the news. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Be safe.